Hello and welcome. I'm Anne. In yesterday's reflection, I mentioned how the Cathedral of St Michael in Coventry, England, had been bombed. And in amongst the rubble, afterwards, as they were going through it, a vicar found 3 large nails that he wired together to form a cross. This cross was the first of many cross of nails. There was 1 vertical and 2 horizontal that came together as nails. And the cross is a symbol of God's forgiveness. The acts of giving and receiving a cross of nails, because that first cross was only the first of many, has become a symbol of mutual forgiveness. These crosses have gone around the world. There's about 200 centres that are now formed into the community of the Cross of Nails, and their purpose is to work toward healing the wounds of the past, to help people move toward a place of forgiveness and where they can come together and find a sense of unity while accepting their differences. So this symbol is also this symbol of the Cross of Nails, of a symbol of God's suffering but conquering love, of God who forgives all sin through the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ and brings goodness out of suffering. Psychology Today's website defines forgiveness as the release of resentment or anger. It notes that forgiveness is vitally important for the mental health of those who have been victimised. It propels people forward rather than keeping them emotionally engaged in the injustice or trauma. It can elevate mood, enhance optimism, and guard against anger, stress, anxiety, and depression. It also notes that forgiveness toward others as well as towards yourself, they're both important. Jesus recognised the life-changing power of forgiveness. He had a lot to say about God's loving forgiveness, as well as the practice of forgiveness by those who want to love God and want to love others as they love themselves. After he'd been talking with his followers about forgiveness, one of his close followers, Peter, was clearly bothered. I reckon he had a situation where somebody had hurt him pretty badly, and this idea of forgiving that wrong was a bit of an issue for him. But he wanted to follow Jesus' teaching. So he got up the nerve and asked Jesus, "Master, how many times must I forgive a brother or sister who've hurt me? 7?" And Jesus replied, 7? Hardly. Try 70 times 7. Well, I've done the math on that. It's 490 times. Every time Peter chose to forgive, that action meant viewing the other person through the lens of love. Every time Peter chose to forgive, he chose to think positively and constructively. By the time he got to 490, if he got there, I reckon he would have long since let go the hurt and genuinely found forgiveness. Jesus' point is that he wants us to keep forgiving until it does become a genuine forgiveness and letting go of the wrong. I don't know about you, but I find choosing to forgive difficult. It's hard to let go that sense of a wrong, an unfair wrong, well, I suppose all wrongs are unfair, done against me. Even after I've made a decision to forgive, I find myself returning to the hurt, picking it up again, nursing it, brooding over it. And then until I finally realise that's what I'm doing, and I have to make a choice again. Do I continue to hold on to it or do I let it go? do I choose to forgive? And I found the only way I can do that is to pray and ask for God's grace and love to help me again and again and again and again, and so many agains, until my actions change my resentment into compassion and my anger into love. It's a hard and long process. To begin with, I need to be doing it every day, many times a day. But gradually I find it gets easier and less frequent, until one day I realise that I actually haven't thought about that situation for quite a while. It no longer wounds me like it did at the beginning. I can sincerely reach out and with compassion and kindness respond and think about that person or people who've wronged me. Every Friday at noon there is a communal prayer that members of the community of Cross of Nails can share in together around the world. And I want to share it with you now. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. The hatred which divides nation from nation, race from race, class from class, Father, forgive. The covetous desires of people and nations to possess what they do not own, Father, forgive. The greed which exploits the work of human hands and lays waste the earth, Father, forgive. Our envy of the welfare and happiness of others, Father, forgive. Our indifference to the plight of the imprisoned, homeless, refugees, Father, forgive. The lust which dishonours the bodies of men, women, and children, oh Father, forgive. The pride which leads us to trust in ourselves and not in God, Father, forgive. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another as God in Christ forgave you. I'll see you later. Bye for now.